Hey guys, Lynette here, and in today's video, we are doing a book review. So let's get in and let's get into the review. All right, guys, welcome back. So this is gonna be the first review that I'm actually doing on this channel. So if you love books, definitely stay tuned because I have listening to a ton of different audiobooks. But today we're first of all talking about Elizabeth Acevedo's Clap When You Land. Now, it was really good. So I finished the entire book. This was like actually the first book I've picked up in a couple years. I kind of been MIA on listening. I prefer audiobooks. So I'm always gonna reference an audiobook, but if I really dig the book, I'm actually gonna buy the book so I can give the author some homage and respect, because this one, I'm gonna read you guys what Elizabeth shares, but this is totally spoiler free. But if you kind of want an idea of what the book is about, I'm going to share with you. Now, before looking at this book or taking a look to see if I should read into this book, I had no idea who Elizabeth Acevedo was. But let me share for you guys what Clap When You Land means and what the book is about. If you are of Hispanic descent or Latino, you guys know Clap When You Land is a big deal for us, but let me give you guys an idea of what this book is about. So it's about two different girls. One, her name is Camino. So it says Camino lives for summers when her father visits her in the Dominican Republic. But this year, on the day of when his plane is supposed to land, Camino arrives to the airport to see crowds of crying people. Now in New York City, so it's taking place in the Dominican Republic and in New York City. In New York City, Yahaira Rios is called to the principal's office where her mother is there waiting to tell her her father, her hero, has died in, in a plane crash. Separated by divorce and Papi's secrets, the two girls are forced to face their new reality. Now I'm not gonna go into the entire synopsis, but it kind of gives you an idea of what this story is about. Now, it's funny because I'm Puerto Rican and my father is straight from Puerto Rico. My mother was born she's Puerto Rican too. She was born here in Brooklyn, New York. So I had two different, I guess, Puerto Rican cultures to be raised on. So kind of similar to what Elizabeth Acevedo shares in this story. Now, I'll get into that in a minute, but if you lived in New York City after 9/11, you guys recall that there was a flight, and she covers the flight, and I wish I had it memorized, but I think it's 587, but I don't want to give that the wrong number. After 9/11, there was a flight that left from New York City on its way to the Dominican Republic, and it was a huge plane crash. All of us in New York City, even if you're not from the Dominican Republic, the first instinct after 9/11 was to think that, hey, this could be another terrorist attack. And it was just, at the end of the day, after investigations, it wasn't a terrorist attack, but that was like our first instinct. And I'm glad that she covered this in the book. I saw an interview of Elizabeth Acevedo after talking about this book, and she said that she wanted to pay homage to that flight crash because we were all feeling the same way. It was like, not again. Like seriously, after after September, a couple of months later, you're still nervous being in New York City. Like, I used to be afraid of even going over the bridges. I grew up in Williamsburg, and going over that bridge, it's so tiny, was like, I used to tell my husband, just hurry up, just get over this bridge, because it was like so scary just to go into the city at that point. So this flight crash was like very impactful for the Latino community, for all of us, even if you weren't from the Dominican Republic. So that was like a coming together for us at that point, because it was like, okay, this wasn't a terror attack, but this was like a horrible crash that no one survived. So she covers that, and I'm glad she definitely covered that. Now, another thing that she covers is, like I said, the two sisters. So she's covering Camino and Yahaira. So Yahaira, I kind of related to, because Yahaira was like me. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and Williamsburg specifically. I was born with the most diverse cultures of everything, from Black, Spanish, Asian. It was such a diverse community, Jewish. We had such a diversity, so we kind of didn't see race, but being that most of my family was from Puerto Rico, Clap When You Land was significant for me, just the title alone, because I went to Puerto Rico every summer. And that's the first thing you do when everyone landed is you clap. So if you're Latino and you can feel me, definitely leave me a comment section below. That's like the first thing we used to do as a kid is just clap. And I don't know the history of it, but I'm sure it has to do with landing safely. Just being grateful that the flight was okay, because you just never know, especially after 9/11. I'm sure everyone has some fear and doubts, but she covers two things as, I guess you can say it, as a person of color who your family comes from a different place that's not America. So I was raised straight Puerto Rican because of my father and my grandparents. You know, we did all the traditions and stuff. But when, as a Puerto Rican who was born and raised in New York City, or maybe in America just in general, when you go back to New York, to your island, it's like you're kind of from there, but you're not, because you weren't raised on the island. So for yourself as an identity, it kind of feels like you're out of place. Like, this is the island that I come from, but this is not where I was raised from. So it's kind of a weird feeling, but I'm so glad that she touched base on that fact in the book, because I felt like Yahida. Like, I was raised and born in New York City, subways, everything, you know, corner stores, bodegas, everything, you know, taking trips to go shopping on your own with your friends, going from Williamsburg all the way, taking the train for like almost an hour or two to Coney Island just to hang out. Like, I can relate to everything like that. But when you're from the island, it's totally different, because there's no subways. You know, most people are taking the bus, and it's just a totally different, they're more free. They're like, the culture's totally, well, not the culture, because my father raised me on that culture. My parents, my grandparents, everyone raised me on that culture, but it's just a totally different vibe. And you kind of struggle with, okay, what are we doing? How are we being raised? And can I relate to my family that is actually still in Puerto Rico? It's kind of different, but it's not different, because that's just, you're still your family. So I am so glad that she touched base on this. If I was younger, I wish there was a book that can identify with what I feel as being, you're Puerto Rican and American, I guess. It's an identity crisis that not a lot of people, sometimes you feel like you're not even presented correctly in the news media and TV, because you can't, as a Puerto Rican, you can't relate to immigration, and because we're Americans, so we don't have like immigration issues, but we still have issues that have to do with on the island. So I'm not going to go into politics here, but it's kind of weird. Like I said, it's kind of weird. Puerto Ricans are like a different breed, but she covered a lot of the identity, I guess the identity cultures in this book. And I had no idea about the Poetic X book that she wrote before, and she has another book it's called Fire with something, but Fire with Shield, I think. I have to get it right, because I'm gonna be so mad if I don't get it right. So give me 1 second. Hold on. Elizabeth Acevedo, because I want to give you guys her books. So give me 1 second. She has a ton, so if you go to her website, you can see all her books. The other thing I have to share is she actually is the author she's the speaker in the audiobook. So if you're like me, and sometimes it's hard to sit down and actually read a book, I was listening to this book as I was doing dishes, as I was cooking. This was like my jam. Okay, so she has the Poetic X, which looks like that. And then she also has Fire on with the Fire on High. And then she has this one, Clap When You Land, is actually something she shares if you follow her on Instagram, that is being looked at into a series or a TV show, something like that. So that is super cool, because if you haven't read this book, definitely go read it, because if you're like me and you're a Latina and your family comes from a different place, you can identify with this one because she covers both bases on how you feel and how the other family member feels in that other country. So it's kind of cool, but I'm not gonna give you like the full spoil. That's why I said this is gonna be a spoiler free, but just giving you guys my perspective as a Puerto Rican who read this and identified with this book. I wish we would have had books like this as a younger person because I would have gotten into books more often. So that is just something that's awesome. So yeah, definitely go ahead and get this book if you're not too sure. I hope I convinced you. I know I'm definitely late to the game on reading this, but I'm actually going to go backwards and read those other 2 books that I mentioned and come back here with another review. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys have thought about this book. Let me know also in the comment section below, because this is, like I said, my very first book review. I kind of want to start getting into this same genre of books. So if you know of another author who's awesome in the same space, maybe she's Latina or he or she's Latina, definitely comment in the section below, because I have a full list of what I found and what books I want to review in the future. I'm actually reading another book, which, you know, I don't want to give spoilers on that one because I just really started. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought about Clap When You Land. So with that being said, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss another video. Have a good day, guys.